Alexander Volkanovski was just knocked out and lost his featherweight belt. He's 36 years old and he's coming off 2 knockout losses in a row, but he has found himself in the unique position of fighting for that belt again. Is he still one of the best featherweights to walk this planet, or is he a little too old to get back to that title? My name is Angelo. This is We Want Picks, and I'm going to break down the entire UFC 314 fight card, giving you my picks, predictions, and DraftKings Fantasy Plays. But before we jump into the predictions, let me show you a couple of handy tools on my website that will help you build winning DraftKings lineups and make a couple of dollars. First of which is the DraftKings Optimizer. If you've used an optimizer before, then some of this may look familiar. You have all of your normal fields and normal exposure amounts, and you can raise and lower that. But now we have an industry-first beginner mode. If you have never used a DraftKings Fantasy Optimizer, they could be a little bit intimidating. There's a lot of numbers on there. There's a lot of random information on there that you may not know what it means or how to use it. We love this sport, and we know you do too. Some of you are watching this video for the entertainment. Some of you are watching for the predictions, and some of you are watching for the DraftKings Fantasy component. What we are looking to do is give you the best possible tools to help you make some money watching your favorite sport, and understanding that a vast majority of you are not DraftKings Fantasy experts and have not used DraftKings Fantasy tools. We went ahead and we built our own optimizer, and we added a beginner mode. What that beginner mode does is it lowers the barrier to entry. It takes what are normally pretty complicated situations and it makes them nice and simple. The first thing you're going to do is answer a couple of questions. The first question off the rip is going to say, are there any fighters you absolutely do not want in your lineup? So if there's a fighter you think doesn't win in any world whatsoever, select them. Then you're going to get asked a few more questions like, hey, who are your 3 most confident favorites? Who are your 3 most confident underdogs? Then it's going to take those very simple, straightforward questions, your answers, and build the lineups for you. It'll build up to 150 different lineups. You then take those lineups, throw them into your DraftKings fantasy slates. We also have a tool called the Event Simulator. What this tool does is it simulates the fights 100,000 times, and it gives you those outputs. You can then use those outputs to place bets, to find props, or more DraftKings Fantasy. And we're going to do this real time. Here is every single fighter on the card. It has their implied probability. I'm not going to make any adjustments. I'm just going to say run the simulator. And what it's doing right now is it's taking all of these fighters on this card and it is simulating their fights 100,000 times. It's using historical fantasy information. It's using historical grappling stats, historical striking stats, and it's running those simulations. And now we have the outputs. We have every single fighter on this card, and we have the breakdown of not only how many points in DraftKings Fantasy the simulator thinks this fighter will score, but also how many strikes they'll land, how many significant strikes, what their control time might be. And you can use this information to go find prop bets on your favorite sports book. And once you're ready to go, you can export all of this into fantasy lineups. Every single one of the tools on the website is preloaded with the best DraftKings ownership projections on planet Earth. Here's a look at the results from UFC Vegas 105. We are on the far right. Our margin of error was 3.57%, and nobody on this planet came close to that. And I'm not comparing myself to Joey Patreon. I'm talking about the giant DFS companies that have thousands of employees, that have millions of dollars in their budget, and they still cannot produce better DraftKings ownership projection numbers than we can. And ours are on our website, wewantpicks.com, for fucking $10. $10. And the last thing I'll mention here is a very underrated tool that I forget to advertise. It's called the Mortem. So once you use the optimizer or the event simulator, once you build your lineups, you get through the event, and you want to see, hey, what did last night look like? What was the perfect lineup for last night's event? And you come to our website, you go to DraftKings Mortem, and you'll have those results. We're looking at the results from the UFC Vegas 105 fight card. This is every single fighter on that fight card, what their salary was, how many points they scored, if they won, if they lost, and then we can see what the actual ownership was. I mentioned we have the best ownership projections on the planet, and then here's the ownership actuals based off of tournament type. Everybody in green was in the optimal lineup, and if we take a look here, this was the optimal lineup for UFC Vegas 105. This was the most amount of points anybody on this planet could have scored at UFC Vegas 105. If we take a look at some of the tournament results, the people chasing those $100,000 payouts, we can see the low, mid, high cost tournaments and the results, how many entries there were. We had 39,000 entries in the low cost tournament. 2 people tied for first place. Neither one of those people had the optimal lineup. Nobody had this lineup here. Everything that we offer is one package. There's no tiers. There's no buy this and then we'll sell you that. It's $10 for every single thing that we do. The DraftKings Fantasy, the FanDuel Fantasy, Prize Picks, Underdog, our bets, our picks, the artificial intelligence, and every single tool we have to offer. All of them are available right now, not only for UFC 314, but an entire month's worth of fight cards for freaking $10. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top and unlock all of that right now. Let's go ahead and break down the actual card. We have 13 fights, 26 fighters. Last week, we had a cancellation 2 days out before the card. The last pay-per-view, we had 2 fights canceled the day of. Hopefully, this stays intact. This is a pretty good fight card. The last thing I would want is to lose one of these better fights. So far, so good. If for some reason this looks a little different by the time you're watching this video and we had some cancellations, check the website, picks, bets, all that always get updated almost immediately. And if you don't have the app, install the app, because at UFC 313, when 2 fights dropped right before that card started, every single person that had the app got a push notification saying these fights dropped. Check your lineups, check your bets, do all the things. So let's go ahead and jump in. And we're going to open up this card with Nora Cornolle taking on Hailey Cowan. I'll tell you right now, $8,600 for Nora Cornolle seems a little ridiculous. It seems ridiculous. Yes, she scored well against Melissa Mullins, who I think, first of all, can't see straight. One eye's going left, the other one's going right. Neither one of them are going towards a win. Jocelyn Edwards beat her. She beat Jocelyn Edwards, but Jocelyn Edwards is a similar matchup to Hailey Cowan, meaning Jocelyn Edwards is big, she's athletic, as is Hailey Cowan, Nora's opponent. Nora is a violent striker. She is going to come forward. She's got power. She's got aggression. She does a good job using all of that power and aggression. She's a gamer. She's always doing something. She doesn't really look to wrestle very often, which is why her scoring might be pretty low. She did get a takedown in that last fight against Jacqueline Cavalcante, but she was way too hittable in that fight. Jacqueline is a grappler, and Jacqueline was lighting up Nora. And that's going to be a little tricky here because she's taking on Hailey Cowan. Hailey Cowan isn't the best fighter in the world, but what she is big and athletic. She is very tall, she's very long, and she is a pure athlete. She's not the most technical fighter to the point where, literally she just has to rely on athleticism, but she's learning quickly. She's moving nicely. The problem is she is coming back after a 2-year layoff, and I don't know, in those 2 years, has she been improving? She was out because of a random injury. She broke her leg, she rolled an ankle, a couple random injuries. My take on this fight is Nora should win. Nora is the better, more complete fighter. She'll come forward, she'll stay in Hailey's face. Hailey is the much better athlete. It's not even close. So Hailey probably is going to be able to survive, might have a little bit of success just being big and strong and athletic. So I'm going to pick Nora, but I'm not going to spend almost $9,000 on what is probably a point fight. I think Nora's going to come forward, strike a ton. Hailey's going to be big, probably hold the arms, push her against the cage. I think this is kind of a sloppy back and forth, and I don't think either one is going to score particularly well. So Nora is going to be the pick, but I'm not going to put Nora in a DraftKings fantasy lineup at that pricing. Then we have Marco Tulio taking on Tresean Gore. This is a tricky fight to break down because Marco should win this fight. He's the better fighter. He's a good striker. He's a solid grappler. The striking is diverse. He's got plenty of power, good volume. He's not sort of overwhelming because he takes his time, he picks his shots, he does a really good job managing distance, he'll light up your legs. But the reason this is tricky, because I'm going to glaze Marco how good he is, how hot his girlfriend is, but the reason this is tricky is Tresean Gore has a bunch of skills. He's got a bunch of skills. Tresean Gore hits very hard. Tresean Gore can wrestle. Tresean Gore is a pretty durable dude. Obviously, we watched him get knocked out by Cody Brundage, but Cody Brundage, for 2 minutes of any fight, is one of the most dangerous people on the planet. And you can hate that take, but he's wildly dangerous. He just doesn't stay dangerous. So yes, he lost to Brian Battle. Respectable loss at this point. Lost to Cody Brundage, but if you lose to Cody Brundage in a couple of minutes, that's a respectable loss. Then he beats Josh Frem. Then he beats Tricoli. Not the greatest wins. So we're in a weird situation here where his losses are good, his wins aren't great, but we don't fully know how good Tresean is or is not. Marco Tulio should win this fight. He should. He should be the better striker. He should be the better grappler. He's the more complete fighter. He's physically bigger. So I'm going to pick Marco Tulio. And if he wins, he could potentially score a bunch of points because he has that power in his hands. But if Tresean comes out here, has a little bit of success with the grappling and moves forward, all of a sudden, Tresean can make this a little closer than it's supposed to be. I'm going to pick Marco Tulio, probably another DraftKings fade at that price. I mean, $9,000 for... We only have one fight in the UFC for Marco Tulio, and it was Ihor Potieria, who is finishable. I'm going to pick Marco. Not going to spend that money. I promise you we have other people we will spend money on. And one of them is going to be in this fight, and it's not Sumudaerji. Sumudaerji is a very good fighter. And it doesn't look that way because he has lost 3 in a row. But Sumudaerji has lightning fast hands. He's a very good striker. He's got good accuracy, solid volume. There's really no power there. He's not going to one-punch anybody. But he is so well-timed and so fast that he can get a TKO. He can find a finish just sort of getting to you before you even know what's going on. People are looking to take him down, and for the most part, they kind of can. He doesn't have the greatest takedown defense in the world, but again, he's fast, he's athletic. He's coming off that loss to Charles Johnson where he was taken down and dropped, and just overall not a great showing for him. But he still somehow finds himself as a massive favorite. He's taking on Mitch Raposo. Mitch Raposo, New England tough. He's part of that New England cartel team. The New England cartel team, that's where Rob Font came from. That's where we had a bunch of guys, all very similar. Calvin Kattar, all have great striking, shit grappling. Mitch Raposo kind of falls into that same category. He basically fights like the rest of that team. He's got good clean boxing, good clean striking, and wrestling holes. But Mitch Raposo is crazy tough. He's a durable dude. He's tough as shit. And yeah, he's had sort of a bad run under this UFC umbrella. He lost on The Ultimate Fighter. He had the short notice loss in the Contender Series. He just lost a close one to Andre Lima. But the reality is, Mitch is a pretty good fighter. He's young. He's evolving. He's got power. His striking is pretty clean. He's comfortable in the cage. I think he can pull this off. He's not going to be the faster striker, but I don't think it'll matter because I think Mitch is going to move forward, stay in Sue's face, so Sue's striking backing up. I think Mitch could absolutely win this fight. And at $7,300, I think some exposure may be worth it. The problem is he is hittable because he keeps his hands low, and obviously Sue is fast, and that could be an issue, but he is a durable dude. I think he can take a shot. I'm going to go with the dog here. I think Mitch Raposo wins, and anytime you're going to get a price point like this on a dog, you're going to want some exposure in your DraftKings fantasy lineup. Then we have Michal Oleksiejczuk, and he is taking on SD Dumas. Listen, SD Dumas sucks. SD Dumas is not very good, but before we complain about him, let's talk about Michal. Michal is a decent fighter, and you can see here he's 1-4 in his last 5, but okay, he lost to Shara Bullet. He lost to Kevin Holland. He lost to Michel Pereira. He lost to Kyle Barallo. These are respectable losses. Every single one of those people runs through SD Dumas, as does Chidi Njokuani. So with this run of competition, SD Dumas would be 0-5 in his last 5, and he would have been long gone. Michal Oleksiejczuk is a giant favorite here because he's a very good striker. He is lightning fast as well. He's got a ton of pressure, good power. He's got 6 knockouts in his 7 UFC fights. And while he is dangerous, he does have some grappling holes. That's what we saw in the Kevin Holland fight. But Michal Oleksiejczuk can come forward and absolutely light up SD Dumas. SD Dumas is an actual decent fighter. He's not good. He's decent. There's tiers, right? There's dog shit, sucks, decent, good, very good, great. Okay, there's the tiers. He is indecent. He's not quite dog shit. He's a hair better than sucks. And the reason he's a hair better than sucks is because he is pretty durable. You're going to see that he got KO'd by Nursultan Ruzaboyev. There was an eye poke there. Those circumstances were sketchy. And Nursultan is like 6'8", hits like a train. SD Dumas was a street fighter. He started his career like Kimbo Slice. He started his career like Jorge Masvidal. And then he's starting to learn some things. He will try new things. In this Dennis Tululin fight, he shot 3 takedowns. The problem is he gets to the ground, he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. Literally, Clute looking at his corner like, what should I do? What? And that's why I don't think he's going to win this fight, because Michal's going to be the better striker. He's going to be faster. He's going to be cleaner. He's going to be more technical. If SD wants to go to the wrestling, maybe he'll have a tiny bit of success, but he's so clueless on the ground. And I think Michal should be able to work his way back up to his feet. Michal's far more dangerous than Dennis Tululin is. The problem is that the tricky part for me here is SD does have a chin on him. He's got a decent chin on him. And if he can absorb some of the Michal strikes early, then all of a sudden SD might be able to take over with just cage control, boring, annoying bullshit. SD's on this card because he's a Miami guy. They're giving him a matchup that they're like, maybe you can win this. So SD Dumas is not the pick. Michal will be the pick. And if you think he can get it done, then $9,000 will make some sense. I'm very confident in Michal to win this fight. The question just becomes SD's chin and how much damage can he absorb. Will Michal get to that $9,000 because he can finish SD, or is he just going to light him up, beat him up a little bit, and we end up with a decision where Michal wins a pretty straightforward striking match? And I'll let you decide. Or the artificial intelligence, see what that has to say. Then we have Julian Erosa taking on Darren Elkins. We have another situation where I'm going with the dog. This feels like a very dog-heavy card. It just feels that way. And some of these dogs are pretty big, and this is one of them. Julian Erosa, $9,300 in DraftKings Fantasy. He's a 4-1 favorite on some books, 3-1 on other books. And I understand for the most part, Julian's a scrappy dude who can find a finish. He's very long. He's lean for this weight class. He uses that length really well, both on the feet and on the ground. He's very well-rounded. He's a high-output striker. He can get some wrestling going. And he can find submissions. These back-to-back submission wins over Ramos and Rodriguez are both guillotines. He just submitted C-Rod. And it's funny because somebody commented, I'm going to pick Darren Elkins here. And somebody commented, how can you pick Darren Elkins? Julian Erosa just submitted C-Rod. Who gives a fuck? So what? Like, so what? Oh, he beat C-Rod? Okay, great. Great win. He caught his neck. Congratulations on that. That doesn't mean that he just wins every fight from then on out. That was such a crazy comment to me. He beat this guy. All right, motherfucker, he lost 12 times. This guy has 12 losses on his record. But he beat C-Rod in his last fight, so that's it. He's a guaranteed win here. Crazy logic. Because let's look at Darren Elkins. Let's look at the savage psychopath that this guy is. Darren Elkins is a lunatic. Yeah, he's 40. He's not young, but he is a lunatic. He's going to come forward, grind. He'll take whatever beating you give him. He'll absorb whatever you send to his face. He will take his beating, just straight up take his beating and continue to come forward. You can see all these wins here. The loss to Jonathan Pierce, he wasn't going to out-grapple the better grappler. The loss to Cub Swanson, that's Cub Swanson. One of the best to do it. Been around for 1,000,000 years. Has seen everything. He beats Derek Minner. He loses to Nate Landwehr, who fights exactly like he does. So if we take a look at his couple of recent fights, I get he's older, but he beats downtown TJ Brown. He beats Daniel Pineda. Darren Elkins just moves forward, grinds, stays in your face, keeps it ugly, keeps it dirty. Julian Erosa's only chance in this fight, in my opinion, and I've been wrong, and these are fist fights and anything can happen. Julian Erosa's only chance in this fight is one of those flash guillotines because Darren's going to shoot a takedown, and if Julian snatches that up, he's got those long, skinny arms, he can make something happen. But I think Darren Elkins grinds on Julian, elbows him in the face, takes him down over and over and over, stays safe, and gets it done. I think Darren Elkins wins this fight, and I think he scores a bunch of points along the way. He's only $6,900. Let's say this fight looks like the last one, where it was kind of close, but the Darren grinding got it done. I'll take 90-point return on a $6,900 investment. Darren Elkins is going to be the pick. I will have him in my lineup. Then we have Jim Miller taking on Chase Hooper. Jim Miller, if you don't know, is tried and true. This guy has been around for probably 100,000 years. He is the only person that ever fought at UFC 100, UFC 200, and UFC 300. He has the record for most number of UFC fights. He has the record for most number of UFC wins. He's the only person to have fought on those different 300 cards. Jim Miller has been around forever, and he just continues to defy the odds. He's 41 years old, and he just submitted Damon Jackson when Damon took a bad shot. He got smoked by Bobby Green, but before that, he beats Gabriel Benitez. He beats Jesse Butler. Like, he's losing to the young athletic guys and then beating everybody else. Jim Miller is a grappler at his core, but the grappling sport is sort of passing him by, right? Like, he was a black belt in 2000 and whatever the hell. And now these young, wildly flexible guys like Chase Hooper are coming in here, and they've sort of changed the sport of jiu-jitsu. Jim Miller did just submit Damon Jackson, but he literally jumped guillotine when Damon just shot with his head up in the air. If we look at Chase Hooper on the other side, biggest favorite on this card, and he honestly should be. Chase Hooper started as like this little kid dork with the little, like, leans into the whole, I'm an unassuming, look at my hair. But the reality is, he's good now. He's a full-grown man. So all you pedophiles out there, sorry, he's a man now. You're going to have to move on to greener pastures. But Chase Hooper is a full-grown man, and we saw that in the Vaislov fight. All of a sudden, he's got striking. He drops Vaislov with his hands. Then he jumps on him, makes the jiu-jitsu happen. In the Clay Guida fight, he absolutely smokes Clay Guida. In the Jordan Levitt fight, he smokes Jordan Levitt. And it all really took a turn after Steven Garcia moved forward, just sort of beat the shit out of Chase 3 years ago. Moved forward, beat his face in, just really made him look stupid. And then from that point forward, Chase Hooper has been fighting very differently. His hands improve. His wrestling seems better. His jiu-jitsu was always good. I don't see how Jim Miller beats Chase Hooper. Jim Miller is going to come forward, that little compact. He'll strike a little bit. There might be some entertaining on the Chase side, but Chase should be the better striker. Chase will be the better grappler. I think Chase wins this fight, and I think he could absolutely win by finish. I understand how durable Jim Miller is, Jersey tough. I get all that, but I think Chase Hooper wins. I think he wins by finish. And I will spend the $9,600. Then we have the featured prelim of the evening. Virna Jandiroba taking on Xiaonan. Virna Jandiroba is going to be in my lineup. I feel very strongly about this, and I think $8,300 is a gift. She scored 96 in her last fight, 80 before that, 95, 79. I think she's going to come forward, get takedown after takedown after takedown. Maybe she fades a little bit. Maybe the third round is a little trickier, but I think she's going to get this done. Her last loss was Amanda Ribas in 2021 because Amanda was able to defend some of the takedowns. Amanda's got good hands. Amanda's wildly mobile and athletic. And Xiaonan's got good hands, powerful hands, but not quite the same. Virna Jandiroba is going to confuse the shit out of you because you're here. You're ready to fight Virna. You're looking at her eyes, and you're trying to wonder, like, what's Virna looking at? What direction is she looking? Is she looking at my hips? Is she going to shoot a takedown? Or is she looking at the hot dog vendor all the way in the stands? And because you're going to be so confused at what direction she's going to go, you're going to be frozen in time. She's going to get her takedown. She's going to grind away. She is basically a lady Nurmagomedov, but inside. Let's stop talking about it. It's not fair, guys. She can't help what it looks. Virna Jandiroba is going to come forward, shoot a million takedowns. And Xiaonan is good. She just beat Tabitha Ricci. She obviously lost to Wei Li, but that's Wei Li. She beat Andrade. She beat Mackenzie Dern. She lost to Marina Rodriguez. But let's go back to this one. The Carla Esparza loss is what this fight might look like. And yeah, that was 4 years ago. So obviously she's improved since then. A couple of great wins since then. But in that Carla Esparza fight, we saw her takedown defense is not great. And she was taken down. She was held down. She didn't have the scramble skills. And yes, it's been a few years. So there's obviously improvements there. But I think it's going to be more of the same. Xiaonan's a very good boxer. She's got well-timed strikes. She's got clean technique. She won't shy away from a dirty fight. We've seen a little bit of power, like when she absolutely one-punch smoked Jessica Andrade. But Tabitha Ricci took her down. And Tabitha Ricci has some of the worst takedowns in this division. And Virna Jandiroba is strong. She is grinding. She is durable. I think Virna Jandiroba is going to come forward, grind her way to a win, get, 2, 3, 4, 5 takedowns along the way. Virna's going to be the pick. Virna will be in my lineup, especially the way DraftKings scores takedowns in control time. Then we have Sean Woodson taking on Daniel Ige. This is another fight. Dan Ige seems to be the consensus underdog of the community. Last week, it was Drew Dober. All of you were insisting. Drew Dober, or 2 weeks ago? Was that 2 weeks ago? It was Drew Dober. Everybody loved Drew Dober. And Drew Dober flipped to the full-blown favorite. And then Drew Dober got knocked out almost immediately. And I'm not saying that's what's going to happen to Dan Ige here, but I do think there's a lot of false confidence in Dan Ige. Yes, he's durable. Yes, he's good. But Sean Woodson just keeps winning. This dude just keeps putting it together and winning. He's got E.T.'s body. He literally looks exactly like E.T. But E.T. had those long-ass arms and that finger that can make some shit happen. And Sean Woodson is going to use those long-ass arms, use those long-ass legs, and touch up Dan Ige. He can fight at range, obviously. Fantastic striking. He used to be a professional boxer, and he's really going to get his hands going. My only concern here is because he is so long, because he is so lean, people can get to his hips. He's got very, very good takedown defense. We've seen it like in the Dennis Bazooka fight where he actually started to use offensive takedowns, and we know he has those. He used them against Charles Jourdain in that close matchup, and he took down Dennis Bazooka 4 times. So Sean Woodson, overall well-rounded guy, crazy long, crazy lean. The problem with any Dan Ige fight is he is such a gamer. Dan Ige is such a gamer. He will come forward. He will get in your face. He will shoot takedowns. He'll mix it up on the feet. He's got that Hawaiian durability. He's at a great fight camp. So Dan Ige is very good across the board. But he does seem to win the big ones. And these are good losses. Sorry, he means lose the big ones. He lost to Lerone Murphy. He almost had that dude knocked out in the first round. Loses to Diego Lopes on short notice. Won that third round, but we should also give Diego a little bit of a pass there because he was going through the emotional roller coaster as well. He loses to Michal in that decision. Like Evloev, Josh Emmett, like these are good. Calvin Kattar outstruck him. Like these are good losses. The wins are good as well. He beats Andre Feely. He beats Nate Landwehr. He beats Damon Jackson. But I just think Sean Woodson's striking is too good. And Dan Ige against a pure striker is going to have to wrestle. And then we see Sean Woodson with his very good takedown defense. I don't think this fight's going to go very well for Dan Ige. I think Sean Woodson's going to touch him up, make something happen, but I do not think Sean Woodson's going to put him away because Dan Ige is insanely durable. Insanely, ridiculously durable. Dan Ige might put a few points on the board. Maybe it looks like the loss to Lerone Murphy minus 10 points for a knockdown, so 43-something points. I don't think Dan's a very good underdog. I think he loses, and I don't think he's going to score well in a loss. Sean Woodson, 8,500. That's another tricky one. I'm probably going to fade him as well. Then we have Nikita Krylov, and he is taking on Dominic Reyes. Nikita Krylov coming back after 2 years away, and that's really the only question we've got here. What is he going to look like 2 years later? And it's a full 2 years. March 2023 to April 2025. But before that layoff, he had 3 solid wins in a row. He beats Gustafsson. He beats Ozdemir. He beats Ryan Spann before Ryan Spann full spiraled. Nikita Krylov is a good fighter. He's going to come forward. He's not great at anything, but he's good at everything. He can wrestle. He can strike. He's got good submission defense for the most part, other than when he was beating the shit out of Paul Craig, took him down and got submitted. That was dumb as hell. But Nikita Krylov's a very good fighter. He can strike. He can grapple. He's got good forward pressure. Pretty durable guy for the most part. Will stay in your face. He's coming off that dominant win over Ryan Spann. Before that, the dominant win over Volkan Ozdemir where he had 7 takedowns, but a 2-year layoff. I don't know what that 2-year layoff was all about. I don't know what he's going to look like. He might look great. He might look terrible. And that's what makes this fight tricky. But he is $8,800 and he scores really well in his wins. He's taking on the new and improved, the resurged Dominic Reyes. Dominic Reyes, as we all remember, fought John Jones to hell and back. People talk about he won that fight. Then he came out here against Jan Blachowicz, a blown-up middleweight, massive favorite, got knocked out. Goes against Yuri Prochazka, a little bit of early success, knocked out. Ryan Spann, knocked out. A very unfortunate 4-fight skid with 3 bad knockouts in a row. He took time off, about a year and a half. Comes back, he beats Dustin Jacoby. And that's a good win. That is a good quality win because Dustin Jacoby's a very good striker. And then he smokes old-ass, used-up Anthony Smith. Dominic Reyes has flashes of brilliance. But Dominic Reyes is not who everybody thought he was. Losing to John Jones is his biggest accomplishment. Just like when we talked about Jai Herbert's biggest accomplishment was knocking down Ilya one time. Dominic Reyes falls in that camp. It was a great fight. Maybe the judges could have gone a different way and his life would be different. But that's just not how it went down. And since then, he just hasn't looked great. The Dustin Jacoby win is a good quality win. The Anthony Smith win, not a great win. I think Nikita Krylov wins this fight. Nikita can wrestle. Nikita can strike. Nikita's not going to get knocked out by Dominic Reyes early. So I think Nikita Krylov has to be the pick. I think he has to be the side. And I think he's a somewhat affordable price point here, especially if he gets those same 7 takedowns he got against Volkan Ozdemir. So I'm going Nikita Krylov in this matchup. Then we have Jean Silva taking on Bryce Mitchell. I'll tell you right now, this is a sketchy fight. Remember last week when I sat here and I said, hey, Joanderson Brito has knockout power. Pat Sabatini's been knocked out. And if you want to connect those dots, connect those dots. But I wouldn't. Let's leave this off the table. And then a lot of you didn't fucking listen. A lot of you still went with Joanderson Brito through and through. Tried and true. Brito ruined my parlays. We told you. Pat Sabatini absolutely can win this fight. You don't need to bet on every favorite. You don't need to put every single one of these guys in your lineup. And this fight feels very, very similar. Jean Silva is obviously very good. He's got power. He's making stuff happen. He's a creative striker. He's coming out of the Fighting Nerds camp that just seems can do no wrong, but he's not been tested against a good wrestler yet. I said this in my quick pick video. I said, when have we seen Jean Silva against a very good wrestler? And The dude goes, Weston Wilson. You mean that non-UFC caliber cut bum? That's your frame of reference? Weston Wilson? If Jean Silva can beat Weston Wilson, then he can beat Bryce Mitchell. This is what people do? This is what you guys do? These are the things that happen in your brain? Holy shit. I actually do think Jean Silva is going to win this fight. But I am not confident enough in that to go ahead and pick him in a DraftKings fantasy lineup or bet on him, because while Bryce Mitchell was unconscious against Josh Emmett probably hits harder than Jean Silva. Jean Silva is more creative with the striking, faster, cleaner, so he'll find finishes easier, but straight up one-punch knockout power, I think Josh Emmett hits harder. And Josh Emmett sent that right down the pipe. Keep in mind, Bryce Mitchell stepped up on short notice for that fight. And listen, Bryce Mitchell has got a lot of flaws. Doesn't understand the shape of the earth. Says weird shit about gentlemen with tiny mustaches and what they could or could not be as far as good people. I think he's actually just leaning into it at this point. He can't be that stupid. I think he literally is just leaning into it. It's part of his character, which is totally fine. People are talking about him. He's on a main card. Bryce Mitchell is a nonstop grinding grappler with incredible control. If Bryce Mitchell gets Jean Silva to the ground, Jean Silva is not just going to pop right back up. Bryce Mitchell will wear him. He'll climb on him. It'll be an 8th layer of skin, like wearing a sweater. So I am going to pick Jean Silva because I do think Jean Silva will tag him a couple times early. Bryce's takedowns will then start to get worse and worse from farther and farther away, and it's going to be harder and harder for him to get the takedowns, and Jean may win the last 2 rounds. And in a world where the only thing anybody gives a shit about is striking and damage, Jean Silva could definitely take a close decision. We just watched Torres Finney have like 13 minutes of control time in a 15-minute fight and somehow lost a 30-27. No blood, no swelling. Somehow, he won the decision, but there was a 30-27 fight card against him. This could be some same dumb shit where Bryce Mitchell's getting takedowns, having control, but Jean Silva, when he's up, he's throwing like this, and then people are like, oh yeah, he won that. Yeah, don't you know? They're in Miami, not Minnesota, so I don't know what that was. But Jean Silva's going to be the pick, okay? I'm picking him to win. But this dude was taken down 3 times by Charles freaking Jourdain. Be careful. Then we have Yair Rodriguez taking on the UFC debut of Patricio Pitbull. Yair Rodriguez, as we all know, flashy, fun, exciting striker. For 3 minutes of any fight, Yair Rodriguez is the best on planet Earth. He's got great kicks. He's got incredible spinning techniques. He's got good power in his hands. He's got good takedown defense early. Yair Rodriguez early in any fight is very, very good, but he has quit in him. You can grind on him. You can take him down. You can wear him out, and he will quit. We just saw it in the Brian Ortega fight. He was lighting up Brian Ortega, making stuff happen. And Brian Ortega's got a chin made out of a fire hydrant, so he said stuff. He grinded forward himself, and he ultimately broke Yair Rodriguez. Yair Rodriguez has been taken down in 11 of his 14 fights, and he lost his last 2 because he couldn't defend takedowns. And he does have a quit button, and he is still somehow a good-sized favorite here. And maybe that's because the general UFC fan base doesn't know who Patricio Pitbull is. Patricio Freire is his real name. Pitbull is his nickname, and he's got a brother, and they're both Pitbull. Patricio Pitbull is a very accomplished fighter. He was the former Bellator featherweight champion. Patricio Pitbull was the lightweight champion. He was the featherweight champion. He even fought for the 135-pound belt, but was just way too sucked out to do something there. He won his first Bellator tournament in 2013, and since then either fought for or defended the belt 16 times. He only has 2 losses since 2010 that were not avenged at 145 pounds. 2. Patricio Pitbull is no bum. And I think he wins this fight. Fighting-wise, style-wise, he's a decent striker. He's going to come forward. He's going to grind. He's going to shoot takedowns. He's going to stay on top of you. He has more 5-round experience than anybody else on this card, including Alexander Volkanovski. Patricio Pitbull can come forward, stay in Yair's face, and break him the exact same way Volk did, the exact same way we just watched Brian Ortega do it. Patricio Pitbull is going to be the pick, and I think $7,500 is a discount. The only thing I can think of here is, yes, he's old, he's 37, but he's not like a used up, crazy slow, gets knocked out with a dirty look old. He's just old. I think a lot of this has to do with the general lack of awareness from the UFC fan base of who he is and what he has accomplished, and the notion that Bellator fighters are just not as good. And you know what? For the most part, they're probably not. But Patricio Pitbull is like the best Bellator fighter. Certainly, if you look at his resume. Then we have the co-main event of the evening. We have Michael Chandler taking on Paddy Pimblett. Listen, if we are looking skill for skill, physique versus physique, training versus training, Michael Chandler's the pick 10 out of 10 times. A Division I All-American wrestler. Insane power in his hands. Fast, athletic, insanely strong. But that's not how he's fighting, is it? He just got out-wrestled by Charles Oliveira. Not out-grappled, right? It wasn't like, oh, he took Charles down, then Charles swept him. No, out-wrestled by Charles Oliveira. Charles Oliveira looked like the Division I All-American. Shooting takedowns, picking him up. He embarrassed Michael. That was embarrassing. That was to lose a wrestling match to a guy that never wrestled at any real level is embarrassing. And that's what happened for 5 freaking rounds. Michael Chandler is not taking his career seriously. He's taking his fitness seriously. He's taking the entertainment seriously, and I appreciate him for that, because we're all here to watch fights because we love fights and they're entertaining. And Michael Chandler understands that, and he comes out and he tries to be entertaining. He will put on a show to the best of his abilities. If Michael Chandler cared about winning or losing, he'd be shooting blast doubles. But he doesn't. He hasn't been. In that Dustin Poirier fight, there was a couple of takedown attempts, some back and forth. But the reality is that was more of the same, sitting on giant right hands and lobbing them. He is taking on Paddy the Baddy. Listen, I don't think Paddy Pimblett is like very good. He obviously has improved striking. He's got good jiu-jitsu. He's got good wrestling. But he keeps his chin straight up in the air, and he's begging to be knocked out. They've given him some gifts here, okay? He fought Bobby Green. That wasn't necessarily a true gift, but Bobby's a little older. He fought a deathbed Tony Ferguson. He fought Jared Gordon. A lot of people think he lost this fight and got the decision. He fought Jordan Levitt. Also, you know, Jordan Levitt's a one-trick pony as well. The Vargas fight, where's he been? And then obviously in his UFC debut, Luigi Venturini. The reality is Paddy Pimblett is good. He's certainly good enough to beat a Michael Chandler who is more focused on being exciting than he is on winning fights. Paddy's going to be the pick. Paddy is going to be in my lineup. It's 5 rounds. That's 25 minutes to score points. 5 rounds. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 rounds. 2 extra rounds. So Paddy's going to be in my lineup at $8,400. Then we have the main event of the evening. Alexander Volkanovski getting another crack at it. How old is this picture? Look at that head of hair. Getting another crack at his belt. Obviously, he's been knocked out in back-to-back fights. He was knocked out in February 2024. He was knocked out in October 2023. And I don't know if he's fully recovered. It's been about a year. It's been about a year since he was unconscious on that mat. But the problem is he's 37 years old. And at 37 years old, coming off back-to-back knockouts, are you still who you were? If Alexander Volkanovski is who he was, if he's the same guy who beat Yair, if we just took this July 8th, Alexander Volkanovski, the one that beat Yair Rodriguez, he runs through Diego Lopes. He avoids the power early. He just grinds him out. Gets the takedown, stays busy, whatever. But since then, he was knocked out cold by Volk. He was knocked out cold by Ilya. And it might be more of the same. Alexander Volkanovski, without the chin issues, has good striking, good wrestling, an unbelievable gas tank, good forward pressure, good speed, all those things. But Diego Lopes is the changing of the guard. And this is how this sport goes. Your favorite fighter gets old, they slow down, they start to lose, and then the next generation of fighters works their way up. And there's always this transition period where we are right now, where people are like in denial about how old and beat up your favorite fighter is. And it's always, oh, he should win, and here's why. He should win, and here's why. And then, well, this other guy's untested. Diego Lopes has no cardio. And you know what? His cardio has been questionable. And yes, in the Ige fight, he lost that third round, but he cut weight twice in that fight. They moved the weight class around. He lost his opponent. Like, the circumstances in that fight were just as mentally exhausting for Diego as it was, for his opponent. In the Brian Ortega fight, Brian Ortega, one of the most durable guys in this division, was knocked unconscious and then knocked back into consciousness. Diego Lopes lit that dude up. His cardio did not seem that bad. And I think Diego Lopes can do more of the same to Volkanovski. Volkanovski is not as durable as Brian Ortega. And I think Diego Lopes can crack him. I think Diego Lopes can get to him. And I think Diego Lopes can make it happen. Whether I put him in my DraftKings fantasy lineup is a whole different situation, because I think if he doesn't get an early finish, he probably will just get grinded on for 20 minutes. But I think Diego Lopes can win this fight. I'm going to pick him to win this fight. And I hate that. I love Volk. We all love Volk. But that's just the evolution of this sport. You can't fight forever. You can't be good forever. You can't be fast forever. You can't be durable forever. And it seems like the forever has come up for Alexander Volkanovski. Guys, that is the breakdown. Go to the website. It's wewantpicks.com. Unlock the optimizer. Use the standard mode if you know what the hell you're doing. Use the beginner mode if you're trying to figure this all out. Use the event simulator. This will simulate the fights 100,000 times. Use those outputs for whatever you want. Use the DraftKings ownership projections and build your own lineups. Check out the post-mortem to see how last week went, how previous events went, and what that looked like across the board. Every single thing that we offer to you is in one package for $10. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. It is $10. You're not just going to get UFC 314. You'll get UFC Kansas City. You'll get UFC Des Moines. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top, and good luck this weekend.